There we are. Good morning.
Good morning.
There's going to be a delay on your one. This is really interesting to me. I've seen this. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Rockies. Hi there. It's morning. See? Oh, I can hear myself on your phone. I'll have to turn that volume down. So it's Diane said, hi, Hannah. Hi, Donna. Diane said to me yesterday she wanted to do a sunrise.
Hannah. Chloe.
And we just thought, well, a perfect sunrise would be today because we'd be up with the time change. So it is just gorgeous down here. It is May 5th, of course. It is right on freezing, right on zero. It's actually, the car said 31 down here. So we're down by the Bow Falls. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Ann. Hi, Sue. So yeah, I was in stereo exactly. So there are the Bow Falls. Now, there's obviously ice around the edge and everything here, but the Bow Falls are running. You see that the water... Hey, Nat, good morning to you. Hi, Brenda. The water levels are still low, but there's a good, healthy snowpack now. Now, of course, the snowpack sitting this year is at about 50% of what it should be, so we're very, very worried about forest fires. But I like to put it in some perspective, because I'll look at these aspen trees right over here. See that? And at the base of them, they will be underwater for about 2 weeks, usually in June, as the snowmelt really comes on. But it is a gorgeous morning. There is some call for precipitation later today and tomorrow. Of course, we are happy anytime we have precipitation. So Diane came over last night and Finn cooked steaks and baked potatoes and coleslaw. And then, well, we had a good day yesterday.
We did. We had a beautiful day, and it was lovely weather.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous blue sky. Hey, Allie, nice to see you. It was hi, Merle. Yeah, it was a beautiful day, and we went down to the Peace Bridge in Calgary, and now we're down at the Bow Falls. And I think what we're going to do is, after we have this little visit with all of you, then we're going to go and have a cold plunge. Not me, of course. Diane is going to.
Sure.
I'm gonna pick Diane up and put her in.
I'll go back and get my suit.
You go back and get your suit, but you don't need a suit for cold plunging. But do that, and then we're gonna go. Hey, Chloe. Good morning. Hi, Lorraine. But we're gonna end up going into Kootenay Park for a while today before coming back. But there is, of course, the morning light. You're looking up to Mount Girard and Ingalls Maldy over there on the Fairholme Range. So if we followed this river down, when it's deep enough to canoe, when I can canoe it, I can be down to the town of Canmore on the river, depending on the flow of the river, in about 2 hours. It was interesting, though. We drove in this morning. The gate is now open for the golf course. Normally in the winter, I can only go in there. Hi, Justina. I can only go in there with my bike, but it was open, so we saw 3 white-tailed deer this morning. When I was driving down to pick Diane up at her hotel, I came around the corner, had to slam on my brakes because of 3 deer in the middle of the road. See that? That was just a train in the distance. It just echoed through. Yeah, well, it is a gorgeous looking morning. Now, there it is.
Oh, now
Yeah, you can hear the trains echoing around. I always know I'm home. Let's look up past the falls in the distance there. And you're looking up to Mount Brewster way up there in the distance. So nice to see all that snow higher up. But I say we're right on freezing. It'll be getting warmer today. But I think what we'll do, we'll take a little walk over to the Spray River. Oh, by the way, everyone, I do indeed have the bear spray now. Yep. Well, I think there's a pretty good chance Diane's going to see a bear on this trip.
Really hoping so.
Well,
That's my favorite #1 thing to see.
Well, a friend of mine up in Jasper got a video of a mother black bear and her cub just the other day in their backyard. So we thought we'd go into Kootenay today and have a little look to see what we could find there. But let's take a little wander along here. So we're obviously down by the Bow Falls. For anyone who's sort of new here, the trains, which are really the reason Banff is here. Now, I'm on Treaty 7 territory, of course, and so are you, and Métis Treaty 3. So this is the land, of course, of the Stoney Nakoda First Nation, the Blackfoot Confederacy. Yesterday, I actually took Diane. We took the old road, the 1A road, the whole way. And that's the original Trans-Canada Highway. And we stopped at the McDougall Memorial Church. One day I'm going to do a short tour out there, and I've always wanted to. But there's this plaque that goes back generations. There wouldn't be one like that today. But it actually says on it, to the Stoney Indians who understand that unto Caesar is Caesar's and unto God is God's. And I always wondered, well, what's left for them at that point? So you know, it was interesting. But we stopped in the little village of Minithinny, which is their main community. And then we drove out here. But in terms of settlement, oh, look at all the ducks. I don't know if we can see the ducks are coming right down. I'm still waiting to see the mergansers. Those were not mergansers. They're around. This is the back of famous Sleeping Buffalo Mountain or Tunnel Mountain. So, Diane, watch your step. We're going to go down here. So you got to watch the rocks, although it's pretty good. Again, whenever you see these rounded rocks. So when Canada becomes a country, of course, in 1867, it did so on a deal that it would be united by a train. And the trains, they didn't start building them until really the 1870s. And they come across the prairies quite quickly. But they come in here, they're following the river. And suddenly, because of these falls, of course, they couldn't build the train up over those falls. They're not that high, but they go on for nearly a kilometer. And so they found another way around. And they said they were going to tunnel through this mountain. So that's why they call it Tunnel Mountain. Oh, that's fun. There's a couple of young people sitting on the other edge watching sunrise. This is one of the Banff sunrise spots. But literally we're down below the famous Banff Springs Hotel, and that was William Cornelius Van Horn, and he said, if I can't export the scenery, I'll import the tourists. And that's why we're the birth of modern tourism. But look, I just love this particular tree. I love this tree in September when it all turns gorgeous and yellow. But because this water is so clean and fresh, these roots can be underwater for 3 weeks and it doesn't do damage to the tree. And this is the formation, the gradual formation of crypto-organic soil. So while Diane's here, I'm going to try and do one live each day because it'll chronicle her trip a little bit. So it's, so Tuesday we're heading up to the ice fields and up to Jasper. Now it's meant to rain in Banff that day, which is good news for us, but I bet you we'd be hitting snow up at the ice fields. But I want to come and just show you this rock up here first of all. So that chunk of rock in front of us, that is actually coral reef. And so it's harder rock, and you can tell it's coral reef because it's pocked. It's not the limestone, but of course everything else is limestone. And then magnificent Mount Rundle way up there in the distance, 2,949 meters up at that peak. But this is particularly the Spray River here. This is where the Spray River meets up with the Bow. Now the Bow doesn't have very intense color yet this year. That's because the glaciers aren't melting yet. When they start melting, we get that. But this spray is not glacial fed. So have a look. Do you know, Chloe, let me answer that. I just wanted to finish. Hey, thanks, Dan. Big hugs to you. Look how just incredibly clear this water is through here. And I would easily, happily bend down and drink that water, no problem. As long as it's flowing and moving. Your only risk ever is Giardia, which is just beaver fever, and your body works through that anyway. So with my new car, I actually have not all seasons, but there's a different term, and they're bigger tires. So I'm trying with the new car to not have to change. Now, because I have a Ford Edge, it's quite heavy. So, a little bit of a different try. Look at the light coming up in the sky there. It's the storing the tires, and then here's all the leftover snow, but hey, we could still have another snowstorm. And there's a little peak of the Banff Springs Hotel there. And then Diane was asking me earlier today about the Rimrock. There's the Rimrock Hotel right up there, Diane, up the hill.
Oh, there.
Yeah, so that one is now under the same flag as the Banff Springs, and it's going under a huge renovation. So that'll be interesting. It's open, but I know they're putting, millions into it with some new plan. But that is, of course, the Sulphur Mountain chain right behind us there, the lowest one in the Banff area. But really what I love to try and do is share these gorgeous colors in the sky as we watch the sunrise, because it is pretty spectacular. Now it's just hoping for a little bit of alpenglow this morning down in the distance. So there's what's good for the goose. Now, why are you all by yourself, do you suppose? The robins right now are all super chubby. They're ready to have their babies. Oh, and I saw with Diane yesterday my first 2 osprey of the year. So we'd stayed on the 1A and we called into the little town of Exshaw. And then I looked over where I know there's an osprey nest, and we saw them. So that was just wonderful. Look at that light up in the distance, everyone. Pretty spectacular. What a gorgeous morning here. Yeah, young people over there filming the sunrise. I tell you what we'll do, Diane. Let's wander back because we'll get the light as it's coming up. As you can see how clear. Isn't that just wonderful?
So cute.
Is that right? Anna Marie is just saying that the Rimrock was the first place her daughter worked. Do you know, Anna Marie, it's interesting. Stories about him. My neighbor's actually the manager of it, the person who's overseeing all the renovations. One of my neighbors, super guy too. He managed the Banff Springs, but they asked him if he'd go up and oversee whatever they're doing. But it's a massive investment. But my parents actually had their honeymoon in the Rimrock Hotel. I'm hearing a robin in whatever year that was. Dad had immigrated and moved out. They lived in Vancouver. They were married on Vancouver Island, and then had like the biggest snowstorm of the decade at that point and almost missed the train out to Banff. But they had their honeymoon up there. So that's kind of fun. Now, up in the distance, Mount Norquay. They are now closed for the season. That's one of our ski hills. So they will be opening up their Via Ferrata, which is the climbing. And I really wanted to take Diane out skiing, but this is the last day at Lake Louise, and my pass doesn't include weekends. Look at that. I think that is a merganser. Right down on the water's edge, in the water, is a duck. And it's just moving its little head. Right there. Yeah, there we go. If you can see it, the screen, I think that is a merganser, everyone. It's takes you a while to spot them. By the time Diane's had 10 days here, she'll be able to spot animals from all distances.
In the mountains.
In the mountains, that's right, and the mountains. But yeah, I'm fairly sure that is. The mergansers, teach their own, but they're the ones that have the big tuft on the back of their head, so they're just particularly pretty. Those are our beaches over there too. So to get down to those, Diane, is actually quite a steep little walk. Like you see the 2 young people sitting on the edge over there? See on the rock? Look to the right. It's 2 people.
Oh,
Yep.
over there. Okay.
Yep. So they climbed down from Surprise Corner. But if we just go back to where we were, we'll get the best light. So I have to watch all the time but you look at this. See this log in the ground here? This is part of the, hi, teacher. Nice to see you. That's part of the old infrastructure, of course, that's been coming in here since the trains arrived in 1883, which I know it's interesting. I've been hanging out the last 10 days in towns that go back to 2800 BC, like Cadiz. But keep in mind that about a kilometer, not even 800 meters walk from me here, you good? Are the evidence of pit houses where people would have been living down along here 3,000 years ago. People have been living in this valley for 11,000 years. We know that. 13,000. We know that quantifiably. Probably not a lot more before that. They are big boulders, aren't they? But not a lot before that, simply because this valley was full of ice at that point. Now, if we get down onto the west coast, that's a different story. There might have been human habitation going back 40,000 years. But I just want to come back to where we started our little visit this morning, because the morning light is rising upon us. This time of year is really fun because every day just gets a little bit longer, of course, right through into June. And so, of course, up to June 21st or 22nd, there we are. There's some morning sunrise. How's that for a start to everyone's day? It's nice to see a crowd of people on board. Feel free to invite people. It is beautiful, isn't it? C'est quand même magnifique. So that super kid of mine is sound asleep. He has to work for 8 hours today. But oh well, he doesn't mind too much. He was telling us some funny stories about difficult customers last night. So there is the sun coming up. It is beautiful, isn't it? So these big valleys, you can tell this one's kind of a V. And when it's a V valley, you all know that is a river cut valley. You see the river cutting it right down there. You can see how that's the same rock, right? Whereas when you have the big U shape, those are the big glacial valleys. So, we were talking again yesterday about the age of some of the mountains. So the rock around here, around Banff, averages about 470 million years old. And in fact, let me come show you that, Diane. I'll show everyone. So it's, some people will remember there used to be, hi Ann, there used to be a phone box over here that had been torn down by a bear. This, I have to share, if you haven't seen this yet before, this is when you live with a little bit of bureaucracy. So this particular sign here is Discover the River, and it says on it, you are here. But that's not true because we are here. We're actually specifically right here. And that sign's been there, at least 10 years. And of course, we are bilingual here. Le froid plaît à certains. So some like the cold. Actually, I was hoping to, yeah. So, yeah, these are the big mergansers. Do you hear the geese? Yeah, the geese are starting to wake up and make some noise. So, and indeed, I am walking along with the bear spray. They removed it a year and a half ago or 2 years ago now. And really, they sort of needed to, a broken phone box. The old saying here is take nothing but photos, leave nothing but footprints. And the numbers that we're managing, I just have to show you this reflection for a second. Look in there. Look at that light. Yeah. But we are now managing, as is so many places around the world, just record-breaking numbers of people. For me, my point of view, hey Marlene, from my point of view is I want to make sure that the mountains and the parks are still accessible to people. I think, natural spaces. And I know it as soon as I come home. And it's not that I don't love all the places I travel around the world, but you come back to these natural spaces and they're so good for all of us. And, we have to find ways to manage the movement of people. Like if we come back down here, being that it's a Sunday today, if we come down here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the parking will be full. I remember when our friends Terry and Jolene were visiting here, that was high summer, and they, it wasn't until they got up and came down here with me early in the morning that they got the real freedom of the space. And the birds, all the migratory, not all of them, I haven't seen the warblers yet, but I've only been home for a day. Let's say the osprey are back, the robins were here before I left. But this plaque over here it's really a good one to have. I like to show it because it really shows how the mountains are made. So beginning about 175 million years ago and continuing for 130 million years, North America drifted westward, colliding with chains of islands. So basically, all of this in here, this rock, is old inland seabed. That's why we have fossils, right? And they say 350 million years ago, there are no mountains here. It was just seabed building up. That's why this is all limestone and coral reef. But then, thanks Natalie, hugs to you. Then it was all, thrust up out of the ground through that collision. But as I drive west, so with Diane next week, we will be driving right down through beautiful British Columbia. Have a look at that light. And as you drive west, we'll go into Columbia Mountains and then the Coastal Mountains. They were actually, hi there from Liverpool. They were islands out in what would have been the Pacific Plate, and as it subducted under the North American Plate, they whacked in. So about 2/3 of British Columbia we just call tourist rock. But this is not. This is part of the Turtle Island continent or North America. Love that term, Turtle Island. There's the light just coming up over the peaks in the distance there. I'm going to come a little closer. But this plaque here is just the best one. It just sort of explains it all. And there's the carving of the mountains. Hi, Nathan. The carving of the mountains with the glaciation. Now, keep in mind, up at the Columbia ice fields, there's been ice there for over 1 million years. So it's not just one glaciation. Oh, here come the geese. Here's the Canadian Air Force right there. Ooh. They are feeling a little, oh, I think love is in the air. That's, yeah, that one's like, bummer. Now there's a duck straight across from us, right where that little outcropping of rock is, just to the right of it. You'll see a white bum. That's a duck in there, and I think that is the merganser. So, yeah, so when are we going to go plunging down by the canoe club? Sometimes we see them swimming out there too. So when you're swimming in amongst them, Diane.
You silly person.
Diane's just dying to get in and have a cold plunge, I think.
I can't wait.
You can't wait. There. It is do you know, Merle, that drive? Now I'm doing the northern route, so we're going from Jasper down to Kamloops, and then from Kamloops all the way down and over to Vancouver Island, and then back to Vancouver. So we're only getting one night in Victoria. I mean, there's always they're saying they feel sorry for you. She'll feel so good after she plunges, though. I'm just watching to see if that duck on the far side probably won't come closer because the big geese are around here. It's but what beautiful, beautiful morning light here. So we're gonna have to do a sunset at some point, but that's usually way, way, way past our bedtime. Diane stays up later than I do. I think most people do, actually.
I've actually been doing really well.
Yeah, you do. I mean, last night I was out.
You're too tired.
Yeah, I was watching the hockey too. So Toronto lost last night, just carrying on their grand old tradition since 1967 of not winning any playoffs. But Edmonton and Vancouver are going to be playing. Yeah. Oh, were you born in Creston and you live in Vancouver? Well, so I was actually born in Vancouver, but I'm 5 generations from around here. Creston is a neat town. That whole area down there is beautiful. That southern route, that Highway 3 all the way through southern BC. But you're lucky to be out into beautiful Vancouver, of course. So why don't we just wander up to the Spray River, just at the bridge up there for the fun of it. And then we'll call it a day, everyone. But do watch, because anytime something's really beautiful, or if it's a place that Diane won't be coming back to, then we'll, or won't be coming back for a year or something, we'll try and get a nice little video, and then we can keep them. Sorry, just loving this reflection amongst the rocks. See just in here. That is beautiful there. Look at that. Gorgeous still water. It is just lovely. Yeah, and interesting skies. See, they're calling for about noon. We're calling for some precipitation to come in. But when you're here, hi Judy, hey, nice to see you. Oh, you're at work, you poor thing. It's Sunday. I'm sort of at work, but I'm hanging out with Diane, so it's more fun. And but that's right. But what a gorgeous sight. I just want to go up to the bridge and show everyone the Spray Valley. There you go. Mary in Florida is saying, or Mary F. I was saying, enjoy your trip. Absolutely. Mary. Si froid, si bleu. This is also the story of why we get that turquoisey color. Now, I was able to show Diane some turquoise in the river near Exshot. That's a lazy curve in the river, and so it sort of holds the rock flower, as we call it. So you do get some of those colors in there, but it's much more intense in August. Well, it was very intense last time you were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a really deep
Yeah,
color.
that's the deep, but that's August for you. So we're gonna just wander up to the bridge, and then it's not a busy day yet, but I say it'll get very, very busy in Banff because it's a weekend. People maybe saw. Hey, Michelle, nice to see you. Now, look at the light out. This is what I want to show in the distance. We're coming up towards the Goat Range. That's in Kananaskis country. That's not actually in Banff National Park. So the Sulphur Mountain, just come over off the edge here. There's a car coming. But that range is just getting that morning light. So that's when I'm at the top of Halling Peak. Then I look across that. I've never ever done live video up back there because there's no phone reception. Now it's interesting, the gate's open. That was a Fairmont vehicle. So they're getting the golf course prepped. And I made this mistake this year. Finn and I were gonna go with backpacks and pick up all the balls off the course, but we didn't. But we only golf about twice a year anyway. Hello, civilization. So there is Sulphur Mountain. This, by the way, I was telling Diane about this restaurant, the Waldhauser Stube. It's very Swiss style. Actually, yeah, Michelle. So last time I ate there was one of Finn's birthdays. I think it was his 16th. And he had a $75 steak, but it's schnitzel, you know, it's that. So it's quite simple, but it's a classic one. But as we do come up onto the Spray Valley. Now, if I were to wander along, there's another, well, one of the golf holes down here. In the trees at the back is where there's archaeological evidence of the pit houses. So you think of the indigenous population through here staying in teepees, and teepees are absolutely used, but the pit houses were dug into the ground. And that was a great way to winter in places that get this cold, because once you get below the permafrost, pretty much the same temperature. So there is the Spray River. Look how incredibly clear this water is, right? That's not glacial water. And that's just the melt out of Kananaskis country. But it is pretty spectacular.
And you could drink it.
You could drink, yep, totally. I would. Now the only bad thing you get from the water at all is Giardia, beaver fever, but that's if it's standing water. I own a couple of those life straws, you know, where you really have to suck. It's a filter if you needed it, but I've never needed it, so yeah, it's kind of fun. But then if we just come over, seeing as how we are doing a sunrise tour, I'm just going to cross over here for a second. This little path up here leads up to the Banff Springs Hotel, and that's fun. But if I come over, I was hoping to see if the deer were around, but we just drove up. And in fact, once we say goodbye to all of you, I'm going to take Diane up for the full loop now around the golf course because it's open. We often see wildlife. So there in the distance, okay, Justina, there's the goat range up there, and there is sunrise in all its glory. So beautiful, beautiful morning, everyone. And say right on freezing. I've got the car set to Fahrenheit and stuff, so I can tell Diane the correct times, the correct temperatures, but it said 31 as we came down here. It was 33 in town, but it's just lovely. That's one of the routes it's one of the routes I bike up around back, and then we can cross-country ski down through there in the winter, and they set the tracks, but it was a terrible cross-country year, unfortunately, because of the freeze and thaw that we had so much. But the green's just coming out. They're actually golfing in Calgary already, but not here. You know, that's the nature of it. So there we go. We're going to, so Diane, today we're gonna try and find you a bear.
Yes.
Yeah, and then tomorrow Diane's gonna go to the Cave and Basin with Finn in the morning. I have another obligation in the morning. By the way, watch for Finn and Diane doing a live tour tomorrow. Not a private one, just a public one, because it's somebody's birthday too, and I have to be away. So, but also I did want to say our friend Sandra from Australia, it's her birthday today. I don't know what time it is in Australia. There's no Australians on, so it must not be a cohesive time to do it. But it's nice to give people, hi Jane, birthday hugs. So, so as you can see, Diane's actually nearly 6 feet tall. So I've worn big stilettos, right, to make myself look taller than spikes. But
I can try.
But there it is. Oh, thank you. Well, isn't it lovely? In the evening, well, now we'll see. I'll talk to Finn. He'll probably put up a tour from the cave and basin, and he'll take Diane down, because right now the marshland below the cave is fantastic because the migratory birds are coming in. Yeah, it's a really great time to be around there. Quite uneven, although if it's early enough, the ground will still be frozen like this. Then it'll get marshy through the day. Yesterday, Diane saw where it gets kind of muddy because, well, that's the freeze and thaw. So there we are. Here we are. Hey, Donna, nice to see everyone. Nice to touch base. I know that I put up tours always so last minute, but then I'm just so crazy busy. I've already had, I haven't counted yet, We've already had 36 flights this year, I think. But that's the way it goes. So yeah, and it's not even halfway exactly. Although I'm staying home July and August. So lots of travel now. We're heading out to the coast, and then I'm going up to Yukon, and then I'm back over to Ireland, Scotland. But then July and August here. So isn't that fun? All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me just...
Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to see everyone.
Yeah, well, isn't it great that you're here, and we're going to just make the most of every single day and have as much fun as we can. So I will try and send photos. Yeah, please feel free, or please make a point of liking this and sharing it and everything. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Judy. Take care, everyone. Yeah, and Chloe's saying bye, Dan. Enjoy your cold plunge. I'll send a photo. All right, carpe diem. Exactly right. Okay, everyone. Lots of love. Take care. Peace and love.